some big news this morning too, with the first human trial for a coronavirus vaccine set to begin next month in Australia.
Yeah, clinical research company Nucleus Network will start recruiting volunteers in Brisbane and Melbourne, giving them a vaccine developed in the US, hoping it will be the one that can protect against COVID-19. Infectious diseases physician and microbiologist Dr. Paul Griffin joins us now from Brisbane. Doctor, good morning to you. Thank you for your time this morning. It's hard to follow Grover, I know. But there are several clinical trials already underway across the globe. What makes this one different?
I guess most of the trials we've seen are for therapies and supported by varying levels of evidence. And the objective of those treatments is to hopefully make people that are infected a bit less sick or recover more quickly. And while they're important, what we need to be able to go back to our normal lives is something we can give to most people and protect them from getting infected. And that's what a vaccine is. And that's what this trial is all about. And while there have been some vaccine trials, this is certainly the first one in Australia and one for a product that looks really promising.
Right, so you'll be testing this in both Brisbane and in Melbourne. Can you just talk us through the different phases of this human trial?
Sure. So obviously to get to human trials, we've got to have really good data to support doing that. So we have great confidence that it's likely to be safe as well as effective. And we start with what we call a phase 1 trial, where we give it to a relatively small number of people in a really controlled way to prove that it is as safe as we think it will be, as well as some early signs that it's going to be effective. We then do a second phase trial, where we give it to some more people in a slightly more real world situation to start to see that it does what we want it to do, and that's to prevent infection. And then the phase 3 trials, we give it to lots more people, and these are longer trials where we prove that hopefully it'll protect people from getting infected with this. And then if that all works, we can release the vaccine out there, and we don't stop there though. We also then do phase 4 trials, which essentially is following it up after it's in use, again to make sure there's been no surprise adverse effects so that it still works.
There's a proper race on around the world right now. I know Bill Gates is spending billions on trying to find a vaccine as well. Obviously there's a lot of very important people trying to find this, and we need it at the moment. Normally it's a process that does take years. We're talking about 12 to 18 months. That's what our medical officers are saying. Best case scenario, can it be shorter than that? Can it be in a couple of months?
We still have to progress through all those stages of clinical trials, and we have to make sure that we are confident that it's safe and effective before we proceed. So while we're working really hard to do all of that as efficiently as possible, we can't cut corners with this. And that's why we're confident that this trial is going to be able to be run safely and it's likely to be effective, but it does inherently take some time. So I think that 12 to 18 month figure is probably going to be fairly accurate, and keeping in mind, I guess, that we're partway through that. And so if these trials all go well, hopefully we might have something available for more widespread use perhaps early next year.
So can you just clear this up? Because I mean, you're not giving anyone the live virus, it's just a vaccine. But what happens then once they've had that? Do you then deliberately expose them to coronavirus?
Yeah, so no, there's no infection as part of this at all. So yeah, the vaccine is what we call a nanoparticle, a bit of the surface of the virus, which will hopefully generate immunity so people are protected without them getting the disease. So there's absolutely no prospect that this can cause the infection itself. And then yeah, there's going to be no deliberate infection studies here, where one of the fortunate things about how widespread this is, there's going to be a lot of people exposed to this infection, so we can vaccinate people in the population and hopefully see that they're protected from this.
I mean, the pressure for timing and the vaccine is so serious at the moment. How do people get involved, and how do you know who you're going to choose to do it?
So in the first trials, the phase 1, we want people that are really healthy, so there's no confounders, no medical problems, and within a good healthy age. So we'll be putting a call out for volunteers very soon, and we'll do that via a number of avenues, but particularly the Nucleus Network Facebook page, for example. People can get on there and register their interest now, because we'll be calling for healthy volunteers very soon.
And just quickly, I wanted to ask you too, because there's a lot of discussion at the moment about when the current lockdown can end. Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done an amazing job, and obviously the right measures have been implemented, and people have done a really good job at doing everything that's been recommended. So I think we didn't really anticipate being as successful as we are, and I think personally, and this is my opinion, obviously, we might have to go back a little bit and slightly relax those restrictions, but in a really controlled way. And obviously, if people then don't abide by that and keep doing the great things with social distancing and hand hygiene, and we see a spike in cases, well, then we're back in a more strict lockdown for a long time. So yeah, I think we'll relax things soon, just a little bit.
Really quickly before we go, how lucrative is it if you find the COVID-19 vaccine?
I guess, that we've seen unprecedented collaboration trying to develop a vaccine here, and I don't think anybody's in it for the money. I think perhaps there's an opportunity for a company that was able to do this to make some money, but typically vaccine companies actually don't make a lot of money from these because there's a lot of people that can't afford to pay a lot for a vaccine, and a vaccine like this would have to be delivered essentially worldwide for it to have its effect. So, yeah, I don't think anyone's in it for the money at this stage.
It's cynical Carl who asked that question.
No, I just want to know if you're listed or not. Hey, thank you so much for that. Appreciate your expertise.